Beyond. What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 103 of Podcast Beyond.
1-0 Trey.
Yes. 1-0-333.
Yep, there you go.
I am Chris Roper. Greg Miller, what's going on?
Nothing. It's me.
Ryan is in Germany.
So he's speaking German, drinking beers.
Mm-hmm. Sam is taking care of other business, but we do have one. Mr. Colin Moriarty is in the office again.
I'm back.
We're back in this room.
Trophy connoisseur.
Yeah, trophy connoisseur of all things. There we go. Now, lots of things to hit in this week's show.
Yeah. Biggest news. Kick it off. What is it?
Yeah, so we'll get into the rope report. We got to introduce that correctly.
What's that?
It's time for the rope report.
Oh, time for news.
You missed some. It's got to be time for some
Well,
news.
Jeff's gone now, and we're changing everything now that it's 103.
We should bring him in every episode just to do the intro part.
All right, now get the hell out, Jeff. Thanks for your help. Get the F out.
So, obviously, the big news of this week is the PlayStation 3 announcement.
New PS3.
It's a slimmer PS3, but it's still called the PlayStation 3.
Which is sad. They should have called it the Slim.
Yeah.
Everybody likes calling these new things.
120 gig hard drive. It's smaller than the other one, although it is a little bit wider.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I said. Somebody argued with me.
Yeah, it's like half an inch, I think.
Yeah.
But it is smaller. It's definitely lighter. It's like 30% lighter. Draws 30-some-odd% less power. It's not quite as pretty as the old one, but most importantly, it is $299.
There you go. Everybody can buy one now. You can all afford one.
Go buy it.
That's right. So that's been announced. Everybody's happy with it. We have one in the office.
Yes.
We've got impressions on the site.
You immediately claimed it, so no one else could have it.
But you want to keep all your SingStar songs, and so you can't really.
That was my question. I don't even have the SingStar songs at the office.
Okay, well, whatever. But when we get another
Did you rip your old hard drive out, or did you just recover your name over there?
I just recovered my name.
Okay.
I don't have any saves that I need to worry about so much. So
how big are our hard drives now? We switched them out when we did that feature.
When we switched them out, we put in 160s, I think.
Ah, see, there you go. We pwned the Slim.
So, yeah. But anyway, so the PS3 Slim, 120 gigs, $299.
Yes.
All the same stuff as before. And to answer questions, you can switch out the hard drive on it. There's a little blue screw on the bottom, and it has an internal power supply. So you don't have a brick that's sitting outside, which is pretty cool.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
No Linux anymore.
But no Linux. That's the one thing that it's basically lost. But as it also bonus, so that system comes out on September 1st in the United States, or North America, I would say, and then first also in Europe, and then
it's all in the same first week of September
and then
everywhere.
The 3rd, I believe, September 3rd or September 4th in Japan.
Nobody from Japan's listening to this.
So it's right there. But in the meantime, the current PlayStation 3s are down to the 80 gig one is $299 also.
Uh-huh.
And then the 160 that comes with Uncharted is $399.
Okay.
So there you go. I think the best bet is to wait for the Slim if you have waited this long.
Yeah. Plus Uncharted is now a greatest hit, so you don't have to worry about it.
So the value is not as good really.
And what of the rumor of perhaps a 250 gig?
That was what I was going to get to next.
Rumor report. I hear a rumor and I must kill it.
So on the FCC, a thing showed up for Sand something or another company or whatever. Sony basically tried to mask its name, so nobody figured this out. But people tied the address of this fake sand company back to the actual address.
Who's looking through the patent office?
Unbelievable.
What patent clerk is doing
It is
this?
amazing how often tech stuff gets found out this way.
I know,
that people
right?
find it is incredible. But anyway, so I can understand when somebody, Microsoft puts something in there, Apple, whatever. But when a sand company, and then you're like, let me reference this address against all of their known companies. Hey, it's Sony.
Right.
All right. Anyway, so it looks like a 250 gig system's coming. My thinking is that, assuming that this is real and that it's coming out, is that Sony hasn't announced it yet because they wanted the price flat out to be $299.
Yeah.
And then later this year or whatever, they'll announce the new one at $399 in case you want, double plus the hard drive space. But
is that a smart move, though? I mean, right now you figure, what if I am excited, I run out and buy a Slim, but I would have bought a 250, but now I just bought the 120.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
Who needs a 250 gig hard drive for a PlayStation?
Well, the thing is, you can buy one of those drives for about $100 anyway, so you can twist it yourself and have, whatever. So it's not a big a deal.
I think I want one, Colin.
Yeah.
To answer your question.
I couldn't possibly use that much space.
See, I think it's a good place to store photos and stuff. That's what I like. Just to have all my media there and not have to worry about it. All my music. That's what I want.
Cool.
Now, we'll have more on this in a little bit in the show that we'll bring back on this. But to answer another question about the Slim, it is not PS2 backwards compatible. It's the same thing as before.
Yeah.
And as we'll hear in an interview in a little bit, PS2 backwards compatibility is apparently not coming back.
No.
It is done.
Well, don't spoil it, though.
I'm not going to spoil it, but it will come back to it.
Okay.
But I just it's part of the news.
I know, you're teasing. I like it. Also, you have the big, it is Bravia compatible.
It is. Now, so you can use... Now, here's the question, though. Is that... Because I have the Slim hooked up, and I can't find it in the options.
Are
and
you
the
on a
manual
Bravia?
doesn't mention it. Yeah, I have the
Oh,
Bravia
really?
XBR, one of the newer ones.
Do you have a Bravia remote?
Yeah.
That's what you need.
Yeah, well, I can't find on the system the option to do. Okay, so basically, before I get into that, either the Slim and or the 3.0 update, which I'll come back to in a second. Well, let me just do that. The firmware 3.0 has been announced, which is going to have dynamic backgrounds and themes and stuff, so things can move.
New avatars.
Finally,
I don't have to be a sheep anymore, but I'm going to have to pay to be something else, Colin. I don't know how to feel about that.
What it looks like from the pictures and from what there's announced, there's like a coming soon type thing that's sort of, it is the PlayStation Store, so you'll hover over this icon and it shows like blown up in a screen of all the new stuff, so you don't have to go into the store to see it. So like if, Wipeout 2 comes out or whatever, and you hover over the thing, you'll see the thing for it, and you're like, ooh, I want to get that. Then you click on it, and it'll take you into the store without having to go in there and browse through it, which is pretty cool. So there's a couple other small tweaks to that. But anyway, back to the Slim/3.0 thing, something that's coming, which I think is very welcome by a lot of people, is that if you have a Bravia TV, you can use Bravia Sync, I believe is what the name is.
There you go.
And you can, Sony TVs have the cross-media bar already, and it'll basically let you use the remote for your TV to control the PS3 through HDMI. You have to be using HDMI, but it'll let you control that. So what it sounds like is you can use your one TV remote to start and play a movie and all that, and shut the system down and everything from the one remote.
Yeah,
very cool.
So that's pretty rad.
The way they announced it, though, it was very bumbled. It was they put out a release about everything, then they put out the firmware. It's about the release about the Slim, then they start talking about firmware, but then they start talking about this Bravia thing, but then they're talking in the Bravia thing only about the Slim. It's very confusing.
Yeah, and I can't find it in the options.
So you think maybe...
I think it's 3.0, and the Slim ships.
Will that work with an old one, you think?
That's what I'm hoping.
Okay.
Now, the Slim ships with 2.76, I think, 2.74, something like that.
Okay.
And so 2.80 is available. I didn't bother to update that yet, but well, whatever. But 3.0, as of this recording, was not out yet, and it doesn't come shipping on the Slim. So when that hits, I'll see how it goes, and then I'll see if it works with my set.
It'll become set.
Yeah, so there's the bit about that. Moving on to other things, there's some Gran Turismo news that came out of Gamescom. So the interesting bit about this was everybody was expecting Gran Turismo to be part of the press conference. It was not, because it's huge in Europe. But it was teased that it would be kind of shown off in TGS. However,
I'll be there.
Yeah. However, the game is playable on the show floor at Gamescom, which is weird because it was at E3. They just showed the 2-minute trailer for it, didn't give any info about it, and then it's playable. And it's like, here, we're not going to tell you anything about it. But on the Japanese Gran Turismo site, a press release went up, solely Japanese, which then there was translation that came out of it, with mass confusion everywhere. It was like, the GT Planet guys were trying to figure it out and all kinds of stuff. And then it got removed.
Oh, no.
So now the press release is totally gone. But what has come out of the press release that was removed, / Ryan talked to Kazunori at the show. So what we're understanding is that the game has 1,000 cars, which is pretty crazy. It has... there is damage, which is part of the Gamescom thing, except it's only on specific vehicles. So it sounds like it's going to be 170 out of the 1,000. These are called premium vehicles in the press release or whatever. But some other cool things about the game, there's online stuff and leaderboard stuff. You can set up private rooms, which is cool. If you have the PlayStation Eye, it will do 3D head tracking. So if you've ever used Track VR or Track IR before, what happens is you can turn the camera on, it'll find your head, and as you move your head around, and this is in 3 dimensions, not just left and right. So if you move your head towards the screen, this is for cockpit view, your view will go in on the game. If you turn your head left and right, your view will change.
Take that, Natal.
That's really cool.
It's accelerated, so you don't need to turn your head all the way to the side to see the other side of your car. If you turn your head, maybe let's say 10 degrees, it'll show you 90 degrees on the game, or whatever. But so that'll give you free head movement. If you want an example of kind of what it'll look like, you can go on YouTube and search for Track IR and see videos for that. YouTube support is also in the game, so you can upload replays to it. There's going to be a replay gallery in the game, photo gallery in the game. Gran Turismo TV is coming back, which you can actually stream videos now instead of having to download the whole thing, which is stupid. Bunch of other stuff. So hopefully they'll actually officially announce all this stuff at some point soon, because that was kind of strange. Moving on to, there's a lot of news today.
I know, right? This is the biggest Roper report in the history of Roper reports.
Dude, the Gamescom, so Sony, Microsoft and Nintendo didn't really show a whole lot. Microsoft announced Fable 3, and Nintendo,
Sony won.
Sony completely dominated.
Yes.
It wasn't even close. And basically, Sony's press conference at Gamescom was like, and the announcements came out, was like E3.
Yeah.
We're dealing with like 70% of what E3 is usually.
Yeah.
Fortunately, some of the builds are old. Like God of War was the same thing as E3 and all that kind of stuff. But Continuing on, there's now going to be water in Little Big Planet as a downloadable pack. You can add it and fluid dynamics and all that kind of crap. You can drown it. You can swim through it. You can make boats that sink in there or float and sink in there. Little Big Planet Game of the Year edition. We announced last week that it was official or that it was coming on Amazon or whatever. So it was officially announced by Sony, coming out September 8th. It's going to have all of the Metal Gear Solid stuff, the costumes in the level pack, the history stuff. Animal costumes, the monsters, Pixel Monsters costumes, and I don't know if there's a level pack or something.
Is it Pixel Monsters?
Or is it,
they
no,
just
sorry,
did
the
a Monsters
yeah,
pack.
Monsters thing.
Yeah,
Sorry.
okay.
So Monsters stuff all that stuff came in there. They're going to be. What's kind of cool about this? There's going to be 18 unique levels for the game, where Media Molecule went out and picked out 18 creators from the community, had them build brand new levels just specifically for the disc that'll be on the game, and there's interviews with them and stuff talking about creation stuff. So if you get it, you might be able to watch the interviews and kind of get new tips on how to make new levels.
Now that this is announced, I can officially announce that I was not one of the creators picked.
What?
I know, right? I was
I don't believe
heartbroken
it.
as well. I deleted all my old levels. Just made a new one that says "F-U Media Molecule."
I don't believe it.
There you go. MAG is coming out on January 26th.
MAG!
There is
dear.
a closed beta right now. We mentioned last week that invites were going out. As last Thursday, they were being sent out. Then they were followed up with the, hey, you're in the thing. Here's your code. People are playing it now. Somebody in the office got one. Mark Nix got a code. But we're kind of closed off from being able to talk about it. Everybody that's in the thing is under NDA.
Right now.
Sony did not give us any codes. That Nick's got in through his own thing or whatever from being part of the PlayStation Underground back in the day or whatever it was. But Sony's not letting general press into the thing right now through their normal means. But we'll be able to talk about it at some point, but not quite yet. Also announced at Gamescom, PSP Minis are on the way.
Yes.
These are basically games. It's like the App Store type thing. Games can be 100 megs max. Their pricing has not been announced, but they're going to be a few dollars. I'm going to guess $5 a piece, maybe less. There's 15 games at launch on October 1st. It's basically launching us alongside the PSP Go, but I'm understanding it'll work on the existing PSP. It just goes through the PlayStation Store. 15 games on October 1st, 50 by the end of the year.
Booyah.
A lot of the games that you see on this list, there are some unique ones. Like there's Burn Zombie Burn 2D, which is a side-scrolling version of that.
That's awesome.
But there's also a lot of stuff that are big games on the iPhone.
Hero
like,
Sparta, right?
Hero Sparta is a big one. Field Runners is coming. What was the other big one?
I'm trying to think. Oh, it was Gore.
Mini Gore.
Mini Gore.
So there's a lot of big iPhone games that are coming to the PSP.
Is that about Al Gore?
Yeah, I think that it is.
I hope so.
It's a small version of it.
Mini Al Gore running around doing stuff.
Continuing on with the PSP news, this kind of starts wrapping up where I'm at the end here finally, 12 minutes into the show, is that Loco Roco Midnight Carnival was announced.
Booyah.
Greg, you've played this.
I have. It's you can play it anywhere, whatever, but it's designed right now to be played with the PSP Go and PSP Go closed. So you're only using the shoulder buttons. So it's even smaller than it was
Interesting.
before. Super tiny. You got these big boing moves where you shoot your guy across the world. It's supposed to be super hard, Colin.
I like hard games, Greg. So
You're
that's
going to
good.
like this one then.
Excellent.
I couldn't even get back. I got up to the top of this one thing. I had to chain like 14 boings together, and I got to the top and then immediately died, and then I could not get back up again.
Ruthless.
I know.
The last bit of news that I'll mention today.
Comics?
Oh, yeah, there is comic. I knew I was forgetting stuff, man. Dude, there's so much. Comics are coming to the PSP.
Marvel's the only one announced so far, everybody. They are working with other independent companies, they say, and there are talks ongoing to get other companies in.
Yeah.
So DC, get off your ass.
And there's a trailer on the site that shows you kind of what it's going to look like.
Looks cool.
And then the last bit of news that I had, and please add anything if I've forgotten this. I filled up an entire page of stuff here. Is that Eye of Judgment is also coming to the PSP.
Eye of Judgment.
I don't think we have any solid details other than the fact that it's coming. But
yeah,
that'll
we'll
be
get the
interesting.
camera here, and then we'll get the GPS here.
So
and then everything will be set.
So the question for that
America.
is it going to require the camera, because the camera never came out in the U.S. How's the camera going to work with the PSP Go if that is necessary?
Yeah,
or is the game just not going to use the camera at all?
You remember when I saw Invisimals at E3? That was my main question of, well, we never got the camera here. And they're like, well, we're working on it. I'm like, well, what about the PSP Go? And I'm like, well, we're working on a workaround. Oh, God, okay. Great. Can't wait to see how this one
That was
turns
a
out.
lot of news.
Yeah,
Remember? a lot of good news.
A lot of that's the thing. Is a lot of very good news. All of the there's nothing. Well, the one negative was that PSP backwards compatibility is not coming back.
Yeah,
but
that's a
everything else
bummer.
is great news.
Yeah.
I
don't believe
price drop. Minis on the PSP I think could be really cool.
Yeah, I'm glad to see they're supporting the Go with something unique.
Yeah. I'm very unique in that a lot of it's coming from the iPhone. But
Never
still.
done before.
Yeah, never done
No
before.
one's ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that'll be cool to have
Better
more
than the
mini games.
DSiWare crap.
Oh yeah.
Booyah.
Yeah.
Colin said it, not me. Booyah.
Yeah.
Well, I bought a DSi the day it came out. What a disgraceful unit that's turned out to be.
Well, I can't wait. Now I want to play Flipbook Studio, so I have to buy it as well. I'll trade you a DS Lite for a DSi.
I have a DS Lite.
All right. I will steal your DSi.
Okay, you can just take it. Okay.
Now, Gamescom's going on right now, but and there's a lot of talks about games that are coming out in the future. But sometimes you want to know what games are coming out this week in stores.
Mm-hmm.
Greg usually can't help me here. Colin,
What?
do you know what's coming out in stores this week?
Yeah, in fact, I have the official IGN list of upcoming games for the PS3 console.
You
by the
did?
IGN list.
You totally bumped in that.
Wait, what did I do?
You have to read the name. There's the whole name.
The whole name?
You have to read the whole name. That's part of the thing.
The official IGN list of upcoming PlayStation software on all 3 platforms by the IGN editors.
That's the point.
You guys have too many things for me to keep track of on this podcast.
What's coming out?
Can you believe only one game is coming out this week? Only one game. It's a good one, though.
Okay.
Wolfenstein.
Wait, is that a good one?
I think it's a good one. I'm excited about it.
Have you played it?
AKA Wolfenstein, AKA Wolfenstein.
Oh, okay. I know it is Wolfenstein.
So Jason Campbell gave the game a 7.0 on the PS3.
Yeah.
So the game
Which is lower than the other systems,
Yeah,
right?
the other one's got 7.3, I
7.3,
think.
so.
What was it like? Frame rates and
It
It
was the
was
online
multiplayer
was
chugging.
kind of effed.
bomber,
Yeah.
bro, because that's what I want to play that. Yeah, I'm excited about Wolfenstein. I loved. I'm calling this Wolfenstein 3, even though I guess it's a reboot. Wolfenstein 2 that came out in 2003 was awesome, so I'm excited about
Is it really a reboot?
I thought so because it's just called Wolfenstein.
Okay.
So but who knows? It looks cool. It seems like it's got some gameplay depth. I'm a little disappointed with the trophies, to be honest with you.
really?
When I was looking at the
They all
trophy chart.
bronzes?
No, it's not that. It's just that like a great deal of them are. I don't like these games that you have to play online almost
Oh,
exclusively to get all the
yeah,
trophies.
that too.
I think there's only like maybe 10 or 12 single player trophies in the entire game. So
Weak sauce.
yeah, so that's not cool. But I'm going to be working. I just finished Shadow Complex Guide. Sorry guys, that's never coming to PS3. But
Oh.
Wolfenstein will be next, so we'll
So
have
they
that
said
guide
about
up
Castle
soon.
Crashers. Look at us
Yeah.
now,
I know.
Rope.
Damn, son.
When does
Rolling
that
in
come
that
out?
and braid. They won't talk to me about it. I don't know.
Yeah, there's no date yet.
That is
but-
going to be a great day in my life when Castle Crashers.
Oh,
comes
yeah.
out. That's
You
such
play
a
with
good-
me?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
That's such a good game.
Dude, I
That's
love
such a
that
good
game.
All right.
There were a couple problems with the 360 one that I hope are fixed on the PS3. Like if you played 2 players and then one person got a sword and then you went into the weapons frog. If you haven't played it, there's a giant frog with his tongue is tied to the ground, and you walk inside of his belly and like all of his stuff is inside of his guts, and you pick your weapons from there. It's rad. But if one person had got and the other one didn't, the other person couldn't pick up the sword. But there was no thing showing you which ones you could and could not use. You just had to try. It was kind of, so hopefully things like that are fixed. But anyway, Greg.
Yeah.
Do we have any sort of update about what's going on in the PlayStation Store today?
Zombie Blognack did touch base briefly.
Ooh.
He was at a zombie conference.
I see.
And he sent me a zombie mail saying that he's out of the zombie conference at noon, our time, which might be too late for us. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be too late
As
for
of
us.
now, I would imagine there will be a new theme posted and a trailer that could be for a Blu-ray, a movie, or a game. Outside of that, it is a little sketchy what will be on the store today.
Well,
But anyways, this is always old news, isn't it, folks? You can just turn on your system, you lazy ass.
Oh, okay.
Go to the PlayStation Store. There it is.
Wow.
all right.
These kids are over, I tell you. They don't even care.
yeah. Pick of the week, I guess there's only one option right now that we know of, which is Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
So,
That's not bad. It's not bad. I mean,
yeah, there you go.
It's not great.
Are you doing the guide for it?
yeah. Of course. I love
Yeah.
Wolfenstein.
Wolfenstein?
Wolfenstein.
Trophy tips now.
Just the tip.
Greg,
Tip it up.
you have been playing a Batman game.
Yes, a little game called Batman Arkham Asylum.
When is the review going on?
Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That is Friday, the 21st of August, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which would be later in New York. And then earlier in like Hawaii.
Yeah.
So somewhere in there, you should be looking for it on IGN.com.
Noon
Or
Eastern.
no, don't even go to IGN. Go to ps3.ign.com. And there are trophies in it.
Cool. Naturally.
Colin, you'll be happy to know this is going to be, it'll tax you in the very few last trophies, but this is an attainable platinum.
That's all I want to
And
know.
it's a fun attainable platinum. They do away with one of the biggest problems we always have with a game is where, hey, play through it on normal to get this, play through it on hard to get this. Hard is unlocked from the beginning. So if you do
Sweet.
want to just do
That's
one
good.
playthrough, feel free. I did a normal one just so I could get both sides of the coins. I'm now in my hard one. It's a little bit harder. Things are a little bit different. Enemies are smarter, but attainable either way.
Yeah, I'll probably just start playing.
How
straight
hard
from
is the game?
Well, it comes down to like everybody's seen the videos on IGN. I mean, the big thing is when you're surrounded by 15 dudes or whatever,
Yeah.
and they keep coming. That's the big tough part of it. It's not. I wouldn't say it's a hard game. It's fun. And, I mean, there's challenges to it, but I wouldn't say it's hard.
When I've been watching Claiborne play.
Yeah, he's doing the guide.
Yeah, he's doing the guide, and Batman looks so big. I know that this was a problem. Now when you play the game, is it really a problem that he takes up so much of the screen?
No. Not at all.
Okay.
You'll get past it. Even me, one of my big complaints, it still is. I'm not a huge fan of his design, as you've seen in what we have now. His forearms are huge. He has like these giant forearms, but there are times when he turns his wrist or hands or whatever, and you see that he's wearing those giant gauntlets. So it's not that Bruce Wayne's forearm would be that big.
Right.
It is that he's wearing it. It's a nitpicky thing.
Well, you are
you'll
a
be
fan
fine.
of Batman, so I mean,
I'm not a huge fan of Batman
No?
though. DC, I mean, I'm a giant DC Comics
DC,
fan,
yeah,
so I mean that's where I know him from. But in the last 2 to 3 years, I've become more of a Batman fan. This isn't like a Superman obsession for me.
okay.
Yeah.
So I was I was caught off guard by this game. You can read all about it tomorrow.
Let me skip ahead to one reader mail that we'll get
Okay.
out of the way here since it's on topic here. Pseudo Prime 1979 wrote in. I don't know how much you can say about this yet, but
Yeah.
is Batman Arkham Asylum going to break the mold and be a great, and he means GREAT, superhero game?
How much can I say about that? Because if I say great, then you would know. I've already said Batman is a good game in my previews. So based on the preview, I would have at least given it a 7.5. Now, though, we're getting into great. That's another IGN scale word.
Yeah.
I'm worried about saying anything about it.
Okay.
I would say that you should look for the review tomorrow.
Let me ask you this then.
I'm a fan of the game.
Let me ask you this. If someone today was going to be at a store where they could pre-order the game,
Yeah.
should they pre-order it or not?
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, you should pre-order it.
Yeah.
Okay.
There
Well,
you
let
go.
me ask you this.
Okay.
The best Batman game is most, in history is usually
Batman
considered
Vengeance, PS2.
No, Sunsoft Batman on NES, the 1989 release.
Yeah, I remember it.
Now, is this better than that Batman? Because that Batman game is different, obviously, but quite solid. That is usually considered to be the best Batman
It's a good
game.
This one is better than that game.
Oh my god, I'm so excited.
Okay.
I like
Hey, we're
Batman.
gonna have next week when we can talk about everything.
we
We're
can
gonna
go
have a
into it.
very interesting discussion, everybody.
All right.
So think about that. What would we be discussing on a PlayStation podcast about a superhero game in 2009?
Huh. There we go.
You tease.
All right, so now let's get on to topic of the week. Now we've got a few things here. So
Oh my god.
since GameCom, you're not ready for this. You gotta be ready. Look at it in his eyes. You can see it coming.
Rover knows. Rover can see the gears clicking in my head.
Yeah,
Something's about to happen.
So Gamescom's going on. PS3 Slim was announced.
Yeah.
PSP Go Mini or PSP Minis, all this kind of stuff.
I don't like that name.
The PSP Go or
Minis.
the Minis? Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it'll grow and be fine. I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't hate it. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So all these things were announced. We have a couple recorded things that are going to be put into the show right now.
Recorded
First
things.
off, let's hear Greg talk to John Kohler the other day.
Yes, the
about
director of hardware marketing for SCEA.
Yeah. What did you guys talk about?
We talked about everything. This is mere moments after the conference ends. My phone rings. It's somebody wanting me to talk to John Kohler about everything that just went down. So we talk about it out. We got 10 minutes of solid time with John Kohler here. We talk about the Slim, backwards compatibility, price points, where it's going from here. Then we talk about minis, talk about some comics. It's all over the place.
So let's take a listen.
Let's do
Thanks
it.
so much, John, for sitting down with us. I know it's been a hectic day, I'm sure, for you already. First off, what do we call this thing? Is it now just the PS3, or is it the PS3 Slim?
We're calling it the 120 gig PlayStation 3.
Oh, that rolls right off the tongue.
Yeah.
Why now? Why the redesign?
Really good question. So we've had this in our business model for quite some time, over a year, and there's a few things happening. First, from a price perspective, we know that our customers and our purchase intent, which we track very closely, have been really banging on the door for some time. And we look at a few different demographics here. There's going to be obviously the consumer that has been intending to get into the next gen space and hasn't, which sees this $299 as kind of a low entry point for them to be able to access next gen content and Blu-ray, and really a ton of value. But then there's gift givers and there's families this holiday, and we do think that's going to be extremely accessible to those consumers. So it's a really good time to get into the PlayStation 3 business. There's a tremendous lineup of content. Really, in the history of PlayStation 3, it's the best lineup of software that's been available. And then when you look at the Blu-ray titles in particular, there's just a tremendous lineup that's coming there as well. You can make the case the PS3 is the best Blu-ray player on the market. So add all that up, $299 is a really good price and I think a very accessible price for a wide range of demographics.
Without getting into the nitty-gritty math of it all, with the redesign and now this new price point, does this put you guys forward as far as, turning a better profit on the PS3? I mean, making it so, this is a good business for you guys to be in?
Another good question. We aren't getting into the specifics on that, but the redesign does kind of place us on a path towards profitability. We have been able to redesign a few things within the PlayStation 3. The first is we took down the size of the cell chip from a 65 nanometer to 45 nanometer. We've reduced the size of the overall design. The footprint's down by a third. It's a third lighter. The power supply comes down by a third more efficient, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And the cooling system's been changed and enhanced. So all those things kind of lead to a much better place in terms of the cost of goods, but we aren't getting into the specifics on what those are.
No, I understand 100%. With September 1st right around the corner, are there thoughts of doing bundles with this? I know it's been, something the PS3 has been kind of known for right now, and especially trying to attract new people.
There won't be bundles. Initially, we're looking at just the core unit. We do think that we want the sheer amount of content to stand on its own. We have a really great lineup, obviously, with first and third party, with Uncharted 2 and Mag and Ratchet and Clank, and a number of really known franchises that'll be launching. And we really want to enhance those as standalone products, and we do think the $299 product as a core unit will do quite well.
Similarly, is 120, is that going to be the new, push forward? Are there not going to be different sizes?
The 120 is the push forward as of now. We are constantly monitoring that. That's something that we look at closely on a regular basis because we look to how many consumers, and we run models, how many consumers are filling up their space, what they're downloading, if they're downloading higher definition content, what they're utilizing it for. So the 120 is a good place for us right now, given the current market.
What about backwards compatibility? Is there any plans for that?
No plans right now.
Okay.
To be honest, there's such a substantial lineup of PlayStation 3 game discs now that we feel that the consumer is more apt to be playing the PlayStation 3 games when they purchase the PlayStation 3.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. I remember from the press conference today, I'm pretty sure they announced that I think every person on the planet owns about 3 PS2s now, right?
We'd be loving that if that was true, but the PlayStation 2 continues to sell well, but not quite that well.
Looking forward for right now, if I had, the old PlayStation 3 and now I wanted to do the new PS3, how easy is it to swap in and out the hard drives? I mean, can you walk people through that process? I mean, on a very, wide scale.
Yeah, not a problem. It's actually very simple. And you're asking if someone wants to upgrade from the 120 to like a terabyte?
No, I'm saying right now I have the original run PS3, and now I'm thinking, I'd like to go to this lighter, smaller one.
Oh, I see. So that also is equally simple. I mean, it's up to each individual retailer how they want to take returns, but we'd encourage any of those consumers to go back to the retail partner that they purchased it at and work with them.
Okay. And then what about, it's not as simple as me taking my current PS3, ripping out the hard drive, and popping in the other one, correct? There is stuff people need to know that it's tied to their, unit and PlayStation name and everything, right?
It's tied to their unit and their PlayStation name. However, you can take that and put it into another PlayStation 3. We actually encourage consumers to be able to if they want to upgrade from the 120 to maybe, terabyte, as I mentioned, it's a 2-screw process. The hard drive did change locations. It was on the side before. Now it's in the front beneath the disc loader.
Okay.
But other than that, it's a simple swap.
Okay. I know you're running short on time, but tell me a little bit about the minis here. This is a pretty big deal for the PlayStation or PSP Go, right?
Yeah, I'm glad you're asking that. Minis is a very big step forward for us, and what it does is it supplies a constant stream of content. So when you look back and you say, well, there's not enough games for PSP here or there, this provides a constant stream in the queue, and for us, that's critical. We know that handheld consumers demand that. They demand both large and small games. Minis provide the opportunity to be able to supply those smaller games, those snack-sized games, that consumers like to use on the go. So incidentally, you can use it for PSP Go or the 3000. Obviously, the 3000 facilitates downloads as well. And I think it's a big step forward for us in terms of how we work with development on the PSP as well as for the consumer, who is really going to be, I think, more in line with having content always available for them.
Now, I'm not casting judgment in either direction, but I'm asking, is Minis the final name for these products?
Minis is the name.
Okay. Thank you. When would people expect to see them? I mean, is this going to be day and date, like October 1st?
October 1st, that's right.
And how big do you expect that library to be on the first day?
We do expect it to be fairly substantial. We're working through a few options right now in terms of developers and publishers and how to get them part of minis at launch. But over time, this is going to be a big part of the PSP. And again, like we've said this very publicly, we don't think the UMD business is going away at all. And we've also said very publicly that we think the digital business will continue to grow.
Okay.
So both of these are going to live in harmony, and we think the consumer is going to really enjoy having both those options.
Speaking of living, where will these PSP minis, where are they going to live on the PSP store, I guess? Are they under games? Do they get their own little area?
They're going to be under games. They'll have their own module.
Okay.
So it'll be under the games store.
And now, I know we've talked about this a lot in the past as far as, moving forward, how the business is growing, handhelds, iPhone, all that stuff. From the trailer you guys showed today, I noticed, Hero Sparta stood out, Minigore. These are, substantial names on the iPhone. Is it something that's pretty easy, you think, to move those games over to this PSP mini store?
It's going to depend on the game, to be honest. The PSP and the PSP Go offer quite a different development standard than the iPhone. Most of the iPhone games are very small and somewhat limited in terms of what they offer. So the PSP has a different size screen and other things that require some changes. But all that said, we do think that there's opportunity for development on both. And while we're not strongly encouraging ports, we do think that we'll see some games that launched on iPhone or will launch on iPhone come over to Go and vice versa.
Now, these are, size limit of 100 megabytes, correct?
That's right.
What do you have any kind of pricing structure out, or how is that going to work? Is it just a game-by-game basis, what a developer wants to charge, or is it by size, content?
No, we haven't made that public yet.
Okay. And then, for me, this is my final section of the conversation. I know you've got to go. I'm a huge comic book nerd, very excited for the comic downloads.
Right.
How does that work for somebody? I mean, if they weren't in Germany, they didn't get to see this footage, how exactly is this going to work for people?
So it'll be facilitated through a comic book viewer, and someone would come to the PlayStation store and be able to download, for example, Marvel comics, and be able to download those for a set price, of which we haven't announced the pricing structure on that yet either, but more to come. It's very simple, and then they'd be able to kind of slide through on their PSP. We do think that this has some import because there's been a lot of consumers who have been saying like that the comics are an important part of what they are looking forward to on handhelds in general. And we think there's going to be over 1,000 comics at launch, which is very substantial when you look at it. We're only a couple months away.
Are these going to be, when is the comics in digital reader? When is that scheduled to go? Is that also, I'm sorry, October 1st, day and date?
We didn't announce today. We did not announce a date today.
Okay.
We'll have more to come on that.
Okay. And I know at the conference it was Marvel who came out. Are you working with other publishers? Will we see other, people out there?
Yeah, we have Marvel and a few other smaller publishers right now, but there's ongoing discussions with everyone.
Okay.
We really see this as important.
Okay. And then final thing on this, is it going to be like, are these older comics, or are we going to see kind of, is it like maybe just a week before like something that's out in stores is going to be on the store?
It's really a wide range, but more to come on that.
Okay, great. John, I've got you here perfect at 10 minutes. Before I go, though, you are on Podcast Beyond. I need you to yell Beyond right now for me.
Beyond.
Thank you so much, buddy.
All right. Thanks, Greg.
All right, talk to you later.
All right.
Bye.
Okay, so there you go. That's straight from the mouth of John Kohler.
Nice.
That's what Sony's saying about their products. Of course, they're going to say that they're all good. Now, Greg and I and Colin are here in the office in the United States of America. We're not in Germany.
Oh, yeah.
It's on the other side of the world. 9 hours ahead of us. However, one Mr. Ryan Clements is there. Ryan has played Gran Turismo 5. I'm very jealous. But he was at the conference. He was one of the first people in the world to see the Slim with his own eyes.
Oh, my gosh.
He's there playing the E3 build of God of War.
Whoa. He's living the dream.
All of these things. Charles has played Final Fantasy 14. He gave us a hands-on insight.
I know Charles, too.
Ryan has played Final Fantasy 13. They've played a lot of good games. We're going to chime in here with Ryan. He should have been talking to Charles. We should have some guests on there.
He should have been.
Ryan, just as full disclosure, Ryan has not sent us his thing yet, so that's going to be pasted after we record this. So if Ryan just comes on and says that we're a bunch of jackasses, then he's going to make me look like an idiot, but there won't be much I can do about it at that point. So
Too late.
What will you do when he gets back, though?
Well, then he'll be fired.
Okay.
Yeah, he's out.
Actually, I could fire him beforehand and then revoke the plane thing and just take about the money back and be stranded in Germany.
Wow.
So I hope he doesn't come on here and call us jackass.
I will not mess with you when I go to Japan.
Dude. There you go. So let's see what Ryan has to say about his time in Germany so far.
Guten Tag, welcome to Gamescom 2009. Was that offensive to anybody, do you think? I don't really
To our
think
German audience.
that was not necessary at all.
Hey everybody, this is Ryan Clements, Associate Editor of the IGN PlayStation team. I am joined by Charles Ognette of Xbox Team fame. How are you, Charles?
I'm doing well. How are you, Ryan?
I'm pretty freaking tired, dude.
Yeah, I think we're all pretty tired. We've been covering the show for a while.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Also, Charles, tell me how much awesome food you've eaten today.
I sort of forgot to eat today, so I did have a glass of orange juice.
Which is stupid. That's not even anything. That'll keep your blood sugar up for like an hour, and that's it. What about the other 18 hours you've worked today?
I don't know. I've got sort of like a sleep deprivation coma going on here, so I don't think I can actually fall asleep properly without Tylenol.
Yeah, I'm gonna need
It's
some of
probably
that
not a
later.
good sign.
Anyway, as the listeners know, Roper and Greg are doing the Beyond thing back in the U.S. Charles and I are here with Steve Butts and Cass Messina, and we thought we would talk a little bit about Sony today, or tonight. I guess it's still today for the U.S. people.
It is.
And let's start, I guess, with their press conference. Do you wanna talk about it? You didn't actually see a stream or anything of it yet, right?
No, but I was helping out with your live blog that you ran on the site.
Yes.
And I mean, it seemed to me that Sony definitely, or sort of unquestionably had the stronger presence here at the show, if we're going to call it much of a competition, because it's not like everyone showed up to the show. You know, some, like Nintendo has a booth at the show,
Right.
but there's really not much there.
Which kind of surprised me though, because I sort of thought there wasn't going to be any Nintendo at all.
Well,
But
they-
there is
they
a big booth there. It's just not really anything to write home about.
Yeah, they have a booth on the floor, but in terms of new stuff, there's nothing like that. The show was not a focus for Nintendo, basically.
Right.
But yeah, Sony clearly has used this opportunity to, first of all, they took out time to give a press conference before the show even started, like E3 style, like having the pre-show conference.
Yep.
EA had a conference too, although they didn't really say very much there.
I believe one Mr. Stephen Butts called it a quote-unquote snooze fest.
That may or may not be accurate.
Yeah,
I'm
it
not
didn't.
sure.
I don't know. It sounded like he wasn't particularly pleased with it, but maybe that was
There was
just
nothing huge
sarcasm.
that came out of there. There were a few
Yeah.
news stories, but yeah, Sony. I mean, obviously the PS3 Slim, had been rumored for quite some time.
Yep.
Finally,
Oops.
yeah, we finally got the official confirmation, and a price point, and what I thought was the best part, immediate price drop of everything.
Retroactive price drop for the win.
Well, not retroactive, because then everyone would get sent checks.
Well, you know what I mean. Like old systems that have already been made.
Right. So yeah, the day after the announcement, all the systems in stores are dropped to $299 US dollars.
Well, that's only for the certain size hard drive, right? I think the other one was also dropped, but not to $299.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure about that, though. I'm sure Roper and Greg have talked about it on this episode. We'll leave it to them. Let's
But
see.
yeah, and then the Slim's coming out soon.
Yes. That's amazing. Like, even though we already knew about the Slim for so long, it's still great to have it be official. It was sort of brought out in a charming way because it was behind that friggin' podium the whole friggin' show.
See, I wasn't there, so I don't know what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
So basically, there's this podium on stage that they never used the entire hour and a half long press conference. Then Katsurai comes out and he's like, "You don't think we'd have this?" This is not how he sounds at all.
What was that?
But he was. He says, "You don't think we would have this podium here for nothing, do you?" And he reaches in and pulls out the Slim, and it's like, ah! There's no choir either.
There was no sound.
There's no sound effects, but then there's myriad flashing of light bulbs and such from all the cameras in the audience. And then Ty Root, our video producers, literally ran up to the stage to get video of it, which I'm actually pretty impressed
Did he
with.
punch people on his way?
No, he didn't punch people, but he actually took the video of it before it was taken off the podium and into its secure vault location.
Nice.
So, and when I say secure vault location, I mean my hotel room
But
where
yeah,
I stole it.
Well, what's hilarious is, as soon as it was announced, and I was talking to people back at the office, and it's like, oh, hey, by the way, we have a Slim in the office.
Yes,
It's like,
and now we have a Slim, which was kind of...
why are we here?
So after all the work and all the no sleep and the jet lag, they just brought Germany to Brisbane.
Yep.
But that's okay. So anyway, yeah, their press conference was super strong. Not only did they have the PS3 Slim and the price drop, they also had the PSP mini programs, or mini apps, which are going to be those bite-sized downloads that they're supposed to quote-unquote rival the App Store, but they obviously won't rival the store. It's just picking up in that...
Quite a few products on the App Store.
yeah. Like a billion? No. I actually forgot what the total count was
I don't know.
recently. I almost feel like it's a billion. A billion apps. That sounds right. A billion fart apps.
Probably quite a few fart apps.
Yes. Fart apps are amazingly popular. I think our own Chris Roper might have done something similar to this. But anyway, let's see, what else was there? Besides those things, there was the minis, there was the digital comic reader for the PSP. Obviously, Sony is trying to push digital content as much as possible. So that's just really cool in general. Forgot sort of, my mind is in a complete haze. I forgot what else has been at that show.
Well, they showed off some high-profile games, too.
Yes, they did. I can't even think of any.
Heavy Rain was there.
Thank you. There it is.
Uncharted 2 was shown off.
Yeah, there was
a trailer for it.
Yeah, there was an awesome trailer for both of those games, and then that coupled with all the hardware announcements, they pretty much had that press conference in the bag. Amazingly, so I guess Microsoft's press conference was just Molyneux talking for 45 minutes.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you listen to your description of the Sony press conference, it sounds like, there's a number of segments. There's a whole bunch of different people coming out on stage and talking about various products. At the Microsoft conference, and there were video elements.
Yes.
The Microsoft conference, it was just, and it was weird to go into, first of all, because normally with Microsoft events, like, I don't know how Sony's was decorated, but they have like green lights flashing all over the place, and like they make you feel like you're inside an Xbox that has a dance party going on inside.
Right.
But
I want to be part of that dance
But
party.
no, this one it was a very sort of plain room, and they had a few banners with like medieval-looking logos on them, and then a video screen and just a low stage. It wasn't even that imposing. And then it was Peter Molyneux just got up and basically just talked for about 50 minutes, and about 2 minutes into his talk, he said, "Oh, by the way, Fable 3's announced," which was great, and everyone's like, "Fable 3, it seems early. Like I didn't expect that announcement to come so soon."
I haven't even played Fable 2 yet.
You gotta get on that.
Yeah, I know.
But it's just like, hey, we're making Fable 3, and he just went on for the whole time to sort of vaguely describe some of the features. But yeah, you get to be like, well, I don't know if the PlayStation audience cares about this.
Yeah, probably not so much. But you can give us a quick...
Well, you become king in Fable 3, and you have to make decisions from the throne as you rule that sort of affect everyone in the land. That was sort of the main feature. And there's a whole bunch of weird touching systems. I'm not joking, that are being implemented into the game. One, dynamic touching.
Megaton!
Dynamic touching is a major innovation.
Wow. I'll show you dynamic touching.
But yeah, I mean, there were some specifics told about the basic structure of the game, but no gameplay was shown off. It was just like a cinematic and then a few slides. And it was actually, there wasn't really a video portion. It was more of a PowerPoint presentation. And I found out why is because Peter Molyneux was scheduled for a GDC Europe session, which is another show that's going on sort of simultaneous to Gamescom, that's sort of eaten up this entire week. And it was positioned so that he was talking after the Microsoft conference. So it's like, oh, well, he's going to talk about something that's announced at the Microsoft conference, which he did, except he talked about it in the exact same fashion. He used the same slides. He gave the same information. It was the same presentation. So I was sitting there 2 hours after the Microsoft conference ended, like, okay, here we go, more details. And then it's the same presentation. And I'm like, oh, well, I guess nothing really happened there. But I mean, there was no hardware news, because there'd been rumors about Xbox 360 price drops as well, and model readjustments, and there was nothing official on that.
Yep.
So in that sense, it was disappointing. Whereas Sony comes out and it's like, hey, here you go. Here's your holiday season. You're paying $3.99 for an awesome looking version. Or I'm sorry, yeah, $2.99 for an awesome version of the PlayStation 3. Right.
Yeah, it's pretty badass. And I mean, even though there was a lot of the software at the Sony booth, I'm not talking about the press conference anymore, a lot of it's old, but there's still a lot of awesome stuff there, and there are a bunch of cool new things there as well, including some new Heavy Rain content. They brought in the guys, United Front, who did Mod Nation Racers, and they showed off some of that, and we got hands-on time with that. And they did Uncharted 2 single player. A lot of people obviously have played the multiplayer because of the beta. This is the first time I got to play single player, and that was really cool, even though it was an old level. So, yeah, I mean, like, some of the Sony stuff is, I guess you could say, stale, but at the same time, it's still all those big games, and now all those big games are coming to a much more affordable system. So I definitely say Sony has just had a really phenomenal show, I think, so far.
Yeah, and I mean, it's tough for all these developers and publishers to bring new content to all these shows, because that's something that the publisher has to be like, look, we need new content for, whatever, Gamescom. And it's like, but E3 was just, 2.5 months ago or a month ago or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. So that's people on their staff that have to work and generate that content, like be it a trailer or, hey, we need a new playable demo section of a build. That takes quite a lot of preparation.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Yeah, so that's why it was nice to actually get some announcements out of this. And then I guess moving forward, the next big show would be TGS, which is coming up next month, I believe.
Which I don't get to go to. Oh.
Did you want to go?
Yeah, well, I love Japan, that's all.
Okay.
However, the nice thing is that I can't say anymore. I forgot, because I can't say where I'm going. Never mind.
Way to go, Ryan.
Whoops, pulling the collar.
People really mad at you.
I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
So let's see, what else is there?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of content here that I think is pretty cool that isn't necessarily from first
party
stuff. Like Microsoft's booth is pretty low key, and actually a fourth of it is taken up by Lips, which whatever. There's a new ODST firefight map. But again, I guess the Sony audience wouldn't particularly care about this.
Well,
but you did sit in on a Final Fantasy 13 meeting today.
Yes,
and
I did.
Actually, I didn't actually hear what happened. What happened in the meeting? What were they showing off?
Oh, okay. So it was the director Toriyama-san and the producer Kitase-san, and both of these guys actually did an extremely similar demo to the E3 stuff that they showed. Basically, at E3, the same two guys, they showed a couple normal battles, followed by a battle in which they used a summon, showed off the summon, and that was it, and then they did a Q&A. For this, they did a couple normal battles, a battle that showed off a summon, and then a Q&A. So it's like the exact same setup, except it was just slightly different content, because they showed a new summon, a new location, and I got to drill them on a few more things regarding the game during the Q&A section. Also, it was kind of sort of a awesome surprise and treat, but they revealed...
Was it a Megaton?
It was actually almost a Megaton.
Almost a Megaton?
Almost a Megaton. They showed off two characters that haven't even been revealed in Japan yet, and are only being revealed in Japan in a month from now, or so, like a month or two from now. And they showed myself, and there's another journalist there. They showed us art for these two characters.
Oh wait, can you talk about that?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, so they have been revealed for Japan.
Well, now they have, I guess. I mean, I don't know how many Japanese readers can actually fluently read all English and go to our site, but yeah, if they do, then yes, it's been revealed.
Yes.
Take that, Famitsu. But yeah, basically, I can talk about the two characters, but it's this cute, futuristic-looking schoolgirl, if that makes any sense, complete with pleated pink skirt and white top.
It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, the two developers, quote-unquote, called her the cutest character in Final Fantasy 13. Sounds good to me.
Does she have, laser goggles? Is that what makes her futuristic?
Futuristic in the sense that you would never see this schoolgirl outfit normally, but it looks like what a schoolgirl would look like in about 20 years.
So it's got lasers on it.
No, there are no lasers on this outfit.
Having a lot of trouble.
There's no laser boots. There's no laser goggles or gauntlets or purses. Nothing with lasers on it. The other character was Saz, the character with the afro and the baby chocobo in his hair. He has a son, as it turns out, and his son is uber adorable and has a little afro, super cute. And I guess he's in the game as well. Neither of those characters are playable. You cannot actually take little kid into the battle. But yeah, so that was cool. Cool meeting.
Yeah, I guess other things about the show. I've heard the Mafia 2 demo that's being shown here. Steve Butt's got a chance to see that.
He said it was awesome.
He said it was really good. And yeah, I definitely want to make a point of going over to see that. I got to check out Modern Warfare 2. Obviously, a lot of people care about the next Call of Duty. That
was quite a popular article on our site, I think.
Not all that much was being shown off about it. It was just the special ops mode, which is a co-op mode in the game, separate from the campaign and separate from the multiplayer component, which is just sort of really short, action-packed stages. And like the one that they showed off was over in 2 minutes. And it was like just a firefight through a bathroom.
Such intense action in 2 minutes.
Right. And that was the whole demo, and they were like, that's it. And they weren't really, Infinity Ward wasn't talking about anything else about the game, because people brought up, various questions. They're just like, yeah, we're not talking about that. So it was just strictly limited to that one special ops mode, which looked cool.
Cool. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, and I got to see like Assassin's Creed 2. I hadn't seen that before, like behind closed doors, and I think that game looks really cool. Like,
did you like the first one at all?
I played through the whole first one, and it got a little boring for me because of just the repetitive way that you had to sort of proceed through each mission and climb up to towers and do the same sequence of side quests all over again to do an assassination mission. It got boring after a while.
Gotcha.
And it looks like that sort of thing is being addressed in the new one.
Cool. Good to know. It's great when a sequel addresses all the like wrong things that happen in a potentially perfect game, the first time around.
Yeah, I think Assassin's Creed had a lot of potential.
Yeah, for sure.
So it'll be very interesting to see what winds up happening, and that's also coming out this year. So that's
Jeff Haynes would not agree with you.
Jeff Haynes would not agree.
He did not like Assassin's Creed.
I still had fun with the game. I enjoyed the game. I thought it had a lot of strengths to it, but it definitely had shortcomings when it came to the quest design and the like just the mission structure and the progression. It could have been improved on a lot, I think.
Meow. Our readers will know that.
Oh, okay.
We do Jeff impressions all the time on the podcast.
I don't know.
Yeah, you would know. You don't ever listen. So, as to finish up our little segment here, the Beyond update of today is that I was stopped by 3 people, 5, sorry. I forgot the 2 guys during the press conference. 5 people beyonded to me during this show so far, which is amazing that our humble podcast spans the whole world, I guess, and reaches into Europe too.
Very
So I
nice.
had 5 crazy European dudes beyonding at me. I had one. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, well, I should mention our booth setup here, because we have a floor booth at the show.
Yes.
So, with, like, glass walls on it. So everyone
So we can be a fishbowl.
Yeah, exactly. So there's, like, 8 chairs in there, and, we've been sort of going back to the booth instead of to the press room to write up stories and, get online and charge laptops or whatever. And the Ubisoft booth is right next to us, or Ubisoft. I pronounce it differently every time I say it. But so there's like a huge line of people waiting to get in to see Assassin's Creed and stuff, and they're just all like wrapped around our booth.
And just staring at us working.
Like sitting there trying to
Waving swords.
trying to check my email. Like, don't look at my email.
The best was when a friend is trying to have a serious discussion. There's just like a group of frenzied teenagers waving styrofoam swords at the glass.
Really?
And Fran turns around and just gives the rock on symbol and then goes back to his discussion. It was kind of awesome. But anyway, yeah, and this one guy, it always amazes me, this one guy asked for my picture when I was walking with Nick Scarpino, one of our video producers, and the guy was like, oh, could you please, get a picture, and that was me doing like sort of a
You really got to stop with the accent.
European accent. I mean, that was a little more, that was less offensive than the first one.
I was pretty offended.
Really?
Yeah.
That
Highly-
second one?
highly
I think the second one was at least a little better than the first one. But
Extraordinarily
he asked me for a picture, and I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And Nick Scarpino just had this exasperated look on his face, like, you gotta be kidding me. Oh, I should be this famous. Also, another Clements update from the world of Beyond. The booth babes at this show, some of them very classy, very nice. Once again, Sony delivers really nice attendants who are not only polite, but dressed appropriately. So did Konami, also very appropriate. However, there's this one booth babe that was just walking around. She might as well just have not been wearing a skirt. It was actually just about 3 inches of clothing that served no purpose whatsoever. And I was like, this is what video games have come to. This is what world
Have
we
come
live in.
to?
Yes.
You think that's a point that's been reached, or that's a point that everyone's sort of been hanging out at for like 20 years?
Yeah, you're right. The latter. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I'm tired. You haven't had anything but orange juice.
I'm fine.
I'm surprised you haven't thrown up blood at some point during this
It was
little
a great
update.
glass of orange juice.
All right. I had the first day of the show. I had a roll, and that's what I had until dinner. A roll held me over for quite a long time. Also, apple juice, very refreshing here, because European water, well, German water, it's either like severely weird tasting mineral water or it's carbonated. They don't have like much still water. Stille Wasser. So yeah, it's really hard to stay hydrated here.
All right, should we wrap this up here?
Well, I think our readers need to know about this stuff, dude. Yes. Anyway, we can finish now. I've already taken up too much of your time. Now, let us. Do you have any final parting thoughts?
I think this is a really cool show. This is the first year for Gamescom because
Inaugural
yes,
year.
Because it used to be called Games Convention when it was held in Leipzig, which is on the other side of Germany. Yeah, I think it's a cool show. I love the venue. The Kohlenmesse is a huge convention hall, like
Huge.
enormous. But the nice thing is there's lots of space between the booths. So if you've ever been to a games convention style thing before, you usually just get crammed into the public spaces. Like at TGS, for instance, if anyone is showing a trailer, you can't move. Like there's no way to get through. There's just so many people there. But here, there's a lot of space. So
Yeah,
room
it's
to move
still
around.
crazy though.
It takes a while to walk between locations, but it's a cool show. I like it, and I'm sure it'll become more popular because of that in the future.
I think that the fact that I could not get around very easily anymore after they let in the public indicates that it is still like other trade shows, though. Once the public comes in, those crazy gamers with their potato chips.
All right, you need to end the podcast.
I'm gonna go take a nap and then continue writing about games that no one cares about. I'm just kidding. There's some great stuff on the way. But now I leave you with this piece of wisdom. Please take a shower when you go to a games convention. For the love of God, please do so. I don't mind if you're a little sweaty, but that is ridiculous. Back to you, Roper and Greg.
So there's that. Now, obviously, all of these pieces of news went down. So we got a lot of time in here for topic of the week so far. But I want to quickly discuss the price drop and what that means for Sony with the PS3
It's
Slim.
over. Sony won. It just happened.
Bam, it's done. That's it. That's
How
what
many
you're saying.
people do you know that said, "All right, now I'm going to go buy one"?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Almost every
Jason
single person.
Ocampo, I think pre-ordered his.
He's already pre-ordered.
Yeah.
He pre-ordered on Tuesday, I think.
Yeah, right afterwards.
Yep.
I mean, huge.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
I don't.
Steimer's going to get one. Christine Steimer. She's making the leap.
I don't know personally. I mean, I haven't gone around asking her specifically, but I don't know anybody in the office that doesn't already have a PS3 that isn't planning on buying the Slim now. Okay. So I think that the Slim is finally going to make it where people that were on the fence before were kind of waiting for it to happen. Yeah. Everybody's going to be buying it now.
I hope
and
so.
when you look at when Uncharted 2 comes out October 13th, God of War 3 is in March, Gran Turismo is hopefully, it sounds like somewhere in between there. Yeah. Those are three of Sony's biggest franchises these days, and they're finally coming out. Now is the time to get the system, and I mean the timing is perfect so far as I figure. I mean, I wish it had happened at E3.
Yeah.
But still,
yeah.
now is the time. $299, everybody's happy with that. There's analysts saying it's the perfect sweet spot and all that. Sony's like, yeah, this is where it's at. And I think Sony has finally done. I'm super glad, incredibly glad that it was not $349.
Yeah, I was worried that's what they're going to pull too. You had faith?
Yeah, I did. I really did.
I had faith too, but still.
I was even thinking crazy thoughts, Greg and Roper, crazy thoughts with Mark Ryan that it was going to go to $249 because they had said
take the Wii on.
Well, yeah, because they had said that it was going to cost $250. They got the price point down to $250, to make it so at least they would be able to sell it at
break even.
Yeah, break even.
But then you would have had the PS3 at the same price as the PSP Go, and that seems kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, that does sound crazy.
True story. So.
Yeah. I almost pre-ordered my PSP Go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get one. I'm gonna get one too.
I held off because I went to Amazon to do it, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't have the promise of getting it on day one. So then I went to GameStop. They did have the promise of getting it on day one. But I also did that. I had to order the Batman Collector's Edition, and I did that with the promise of day one. So if that gets here on day one, when I'm done reviewing the Collector's Edition and throwing the Batarang around the office, I will then go and order a PSP Go off of GameStop.
Sweet.
There you go.
It's a game changer, though, Rope.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, first of all, it's clear that PS3 is now going to outsell 360 for the rest of the year.
For the rest of the year, I believe that for the rest of the year because all the people that have been waiting are going to get it.
Yeah, September is going to be huge. I mean, a huge there's going to be a noticeable ratio, I think, of sales, at least in September.
Yeah.
And maybe even in November, December when, but we're talking to Eric Brudvig, I mean, his idea really is that, people are still going to see the 360 being, I guess the cheapest 360 is actually $199, isn't it?
Yeah,
So,
is that
so
the paid unit, though?
so maybe people are still going to sway. See, I just don't understand. I mean, I don't, playing games like Shadow Complex, awesome game. There's a lot of, Mass Effect, awesome game. There's a lot of great games on 360, but when you look at the hardware, it's just so inferior to the PS3. It just, and now that they really are equivalently priced, you just can't wonder. You have free online. You have
Well, and again, if you come back to the price differences and the things you have to buy, if you want Wi-Fi on the 360, extra $100.
Yep.
The online costs money. Granted, live is handled better than the PlayStation Network.
right.
So I think the money's worth it, $60 a year. But it's free. That's a good thing on that end. The Blu-ray player obviously is a big deal.
Yep.
So the value of the PS3 has
Home.
and PlayStation Home.
I can make my apartment.
Yeah.
Plus
so
I-
the value has always been there.
Yep.
But now that they are, if you look at the Pro system, because the Elite is still $399, I think, and the Pro is $299 right now. Although there's rumors that Microsoft dropped the price any day. I'm surprised it didn't happen at Gamescom, especially since their press conference was the day after. But even before, when you were looking at the cost of the two systems, they were pretty close. And now that the systems are basically the same price, and you get all of this extra stuff basically with the PS3. I mean, it's clear if you look at it that the PS3 is a good bit better, or actually a lot better value than the 360 is, especially since it won't break.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. We have this new
Save your
information about the
shipping
fail rate, from, I guess, Game Informer or whatever. And the fail rate actually for the 360, it was like 54%. That seems even low to me.
Yeah. Everybody you've ever talked to, it sounds
But
like.
yeah, like everybody's 360 is broken. So we don't really know if the maybe the Slim is like defective. I have no idea.
made out of
But
gingerbread.
I don't. All things considered, first of all, I think the future of online play is free. So I think Sony's onto something there. And yeah, I think you get it's a better value. You're getting a better system. You can actually hear things around you when you put a PlayStation 3 on.
Yeah.
Unlike you feel like you're on an airport tarmac when you put a 360 on. So just go buy the PS3 Slim for God's sake.
Yeah.
Pre-order it.
There you go. All right, getting on with the show. It's time for some reader mail.
Reader mail!
Maelstrom.
Mail call.
Our first piece of mail
Mail pen
comes
and
from
baldness.
Rolls-Royce 5. He says,
An Austin writer.
Yeah, Austin Ryder. He says, what do you guys think of the recent trend of microtransactions in games like NCAA 10, Madden 10, where you are essentially buying cheats for your dynasty or franchise? This goes through Tiger. You can do the same thing. Burnout, you can buy cars and stuff like that. EA is notorious for doing this sort of thing.
Yeah.
What do we think about it? Before you guys answer, let me say this. I have never purchased any of these things for my own goodness. The only time that I've ever purchased, whatever.
I know. I'm just giving you a hard time.
The only single time that I've ever bought any of this stuff is for Burnout, and it's helpful at work if we're playing a game and we have to play some DLC and we don't have a save for it. So for Burnout, like when Big Surf Island came out, I didn't have a save on my system, so I bought the cars pack. I regretted having to do it, but I didn't want to start with the cars and have to play for 5 hours to get something,
so what you needed
So
to
it
do.
helped me for work. But never in my right mind will I ever buy this stuff for my home stuff.
Yeah,
Because
the Madden
it's,
stuff, I hate. That's
Yeah.
crazy
it's lame.
talk, that you put these features in the game and then gray them out and say, all right, now pay for them. You know what I mean? I just bought the game. I shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's two ways to look at it. Is like one way you don't have to buy. It is lame, but you don't have. No one's forcing you to buy it. But at the same time, if you know this functionality is there in the game, like whatever game it is you're talking about, it's kind of lame that it could very well be on the disc or easily
And I mean, correct me
unlocked.
if I'm wrong, the Madden stuff they took out are like the cheat cards, right, that have been there forever. Like you have to pay for, have the wind blow at your back for field goals and yada yada. Is anybody up to date on this?
No. So the stuff that you buy, I haven't looked at the stuff that you buy for Madden, but I know that you can do things where or at least in their other games, like in Tiger, you can pay to max out your guy's stats.
Oh, really?
So I mean, I think that they're talking on that end.
that's so
I haven't
lame.
looked at the
Yeah.
Madden ones yet,
That's
but and you can do like in Need for Speed, for example, you can buy the highest car upgrades for a vehicle, and you can just buy when I was previewing one of the other Need for Speeds, because on Xbox. On the basically their debug store or whatever, stuff will go up there and it's free or whatever. So if you're previewing a game from EA and there's this, it's helpful there. If you're previewing a game from EA, you can sometimes buy these things. So like I put in Need for Speed, and just like anybody could at retail, I just clicked a button and had the Pagani Zonda. And I had the fastest car in the game in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And it was cool for my preview because then I didn't have to play for 15 hours to get all the cars. But when you bring a game home from retail, are you ever going to want to just go, I want to be at the end of the game before I've even pressed start to start the real game?
Yeah, it's dumb.
They should start
pretty
selling
stupid.
the trophies. That's what me and Colin.
Yeah, I'll be all of it. It should, I think there's a difference between like, maybe buying like, an NHL game, buying third jerseys or something, and like, buying, small pieces of downloads, but buying things that you would have to really spend a lot of time and it would unbalance the game, like to unlock, a really great car or something like that. Because I mean, what is stopping them from a future in RPGs or something to be like, well, you can buy this great piece of gear or you can level up this character for a certain amount of money? I think it's just kind of lame. So
Yeah.
So
there's that.
There you go, Royce.
Oh man, this guy's name is light blue, so it's bleeding into my thing. I think it's Droton. Yeah, good thing he edited his post. Otherwise, I never would have been able to read his name. Anyway, he says, with Zipper Interactive continually insisting on a fall deadline, were we surprised that MAG was pushed to January 2010 in the middle of the winter? Do you think it was because it looked really early at E3? I'm guessing that A, it needed a little more polish time, which is fine. But B, the thing that afforded them the polish time over anything else instead of having them rush was Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah.
I think everybody, no other shooter that's especially an online-centric one, wants to go up Modern Warfare 2 as soon as it comes out. It would be stupid for somebody else to release an online shooter in November and think that they're going to beat Modern Warfare.
Yeah, I agree.
Game.
Yeah.
I think the irony about all these people dodging November, though, is that now there's like a huge vacuum in November for other kinds of games, because not everyone's interested. I'm not really even that interested in I didn't even really like Modern Warfare that much, so I'm going to play it, but I want something else, and now that just seems to be, compared to last year.
It's the thing, if you're releasing like a racing game or just like an action game or something, but not a shooter, but if you're releasing anything else in November, you're probably cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, shooters though, you're kind of
crazy.
I mean, Activision. They said that Singularity was delayed because of Modern Warfare. I don't buy that entirely. I think it was just because the game needed more time. But Activision itself is saying we are not going to compete with ourselves because Modern Warfare is going to kill everybody.
Yeah.
So HB Guy 311 writes in. He says, "Will Rock Band, Beatles, or Guitar Hero 5 have the rhythm guitar? Seems as the only option is bass or lead guitars for all the games. And why? Why can I not play as John while my friend plays as George Harrison?"
It's a good question.
It is a good question.
Are they going to have it? Or do we not know? Okay, no.
I asked Taylor about this since he's been playing the Beatles game or covering it a lot. And no, they will not have rhythm guitars. Here's my guess. And this is a guess.
Show it.
Is that so you have lead guitar and you have bass and you have vocals and drums or whatever, right? So your two guitar options basically are lead guitar and bass. I think if they added the rhythm guitar, it's extra work, extra time involved that few people would play. Mm-hmm. So I think the money or the time is better spent doing bass and lead guitar. I don't see a lot of people wanting to play rhythm guitar while somebody else is playing. I mean, maybe it really only makes sense in the party atmosphere, and I guess bass kind of to that some extent also does. But I don't know. It is a curious question. I would have liked to have seen that, especially for big big bands like this would be great, or something like the Rolling Stones or whatever.
Yeah.
And then also, bigger metal bands, stuff like Metallica or whatever would be great for that too. But, Black Mantle writes in. He says, "Do you think that more developers should follow in Naughty Dog's path as to not release single-player demos, so that in one way, for instance, one portion of the story won't be revealed ahead of time to gamers and spoiled in the process?"
I think everybody looks too deep into not having this single player. I think that Uncharted is a proven single player franchise, and everybody loved the first game, and they want you to go buy the first game. You probably played the first game, and the new thing is multiplayer, and that needs to be demoed because, and not even demo. I guess it is being demoed and on top of the beta, but that needs to be shown because, when they announced it, remember I was like, I don't know if I want that, and then I played it and I was like, this is amazing. I'm so glad it's here. You know what I mean? Yada yada yada.
Yeah.
You need to prove yourself to somebody. They don't need to prove single player.
That's 100% dead on. Yeah.
At the same time, though, I mean, because wasn't the rationale of not having it because it would ruin the story but you don't need to really contextualize it. So
yeah, exactly. You could dance around it and not have a a story.
I don't.
I think it's a total proving thing. Batman. A lot of people were like, I don't know about that game, so they put out the Batman demo so people can get behind it and be like, wait, this is fun, and I really like doing this, and yada yada yada.
I agree that we know how Uncharted plays, no doubt, single player, but at the same time, it's not really that important if you just strip out the cutscenes and you just put yourself in the random environment. It's not really.
Yeah, but at the same time, they don't need to though. And that's my thing is I would prefer that there not be a demo for a game that everybody's already going to buy anyway. I don't know anybody that's sane that has a PS3 that is not going to buy or at least play Uncharted 2.
Well, it's yesterday, Ryan posted his Uncharted impressions, and the first thing I asked you was anything new, and you described it and went, oh, that's old. And it's like, well, Actually, I'm kind of glad they did that because everybody already knows that game's going to be good. I'd much rather sit down and have a brand new experience and not understand what's about to happen. And,
True enough.
There you go. Pseudoprime Night. Oh,
Pseudoprime.
Here's Pseudoprime's Batman question, which you already answered. We'll skip over that one. EB Poll writes in. He says, with all the complaints about analog sticks on the DualShock, is there a good reason why Sony should not release a second version of the DualShock 3 with offset sticks similar to the Xbox 360 controller, basically where the D-pad and the analog sticks are reversed? I think that Sony's not going to do it because
they picked a style.
Yeah, they picked a style. They're going to stick with it.
It's a trademark.
And not everybody hates it.
I like it.
I like it
a lot.
I think it's great.
Yeah, I mean, I having that extra thing there for somebody to choose is cool. There are third-party controllers that allow you to do that, but I mean, imagine this way though: if Sony comes out and says, "Hey, we're offering a DualShock with this controller configuration," now everybody says, "Oh, you're just trying to be like the 360 controller."
Well, they yell at it.
And
beat
then
it up.
Meh. So they don't want to do that.
And I also think it's cool. I mean, like what Ape Escape was the first game to use like the original.
Yeah.
You know, and like we've been using this really the same controller that I think is great. We're so
like
used
that a
to
lot.
it. You know,
I
we're
love
so
that
used to
idea
it.
that they
like
didn't change.
learning the face buttons with.
Although I hate the triggers.
Yeah, I don't mind. I
don't like that they pull down. That's my thing. I wish they just came straight back, like the DualShock 2, right? Yeah, or 1 or whatever.
They're just
don't
really
like,
sensitive.
What?
They're just really sensitive.
True. Yeah.
See,
when you play Batman, you will see. There was a time when I thought the game was broken because he would get down in his crouched little area and walk around. But I realized finally that I was literally just resting my finger on it as lightly as I could.
The thing about the analog sticks though is there's three the L2 and R2 buttons. If you want that analog play, there's 3 ways to do it that have been shown now. There's Sony's way where it's kind of a fat button and it swings. There's Microsoft's way, which is more of a trigger.
Giant trigger, yeah.
And then there's the GameCube way, which is terrible, which pulls straight back and then clicks at the end.
Yeah.
Now, Sony's way is best for when you just want a button that clicks on and off, right? I think Microsoft's way is the best when you want full analog control. If like in a driving game, it works better there on Microsoft stuff. The GameCube one sucked, but so it is a trade-off. It's like for certain games one will work better.
Yeah.
For other games the other will work better. So you're never going to exactly win on either of those.
I just think we're so used to it at this point. Like why fix something that really isn't broken? And they did try to put up they did at least the Boomerang was back when PS3 was announced. So. They were going to go in another direction, and we got something that we were familiar with instead. I think it's great.
Yay!
Barry Putris writes in, he says, do you think Wipeout HD and Fury got the short end of the stick by being download only? The game seems too huge and awesome to not get a full retail treatment. He'd put down 60 bones easily.
So I was fine with how it was.
Yeah, I mean, I'm perfectly fine with it. I think that, yes, Wipeout may have had more sales if it was in GameStops and Walmarts and all that kind of stuff. But the fact that it's on the PlayStation Network raises the level of quality that you're seeing on the network, and you're like, oh, I bought Wipeout. That game was so good. I want to go see what else is there. So yeah, I think that it helped that enough that it was worth the loss of sales to Sony. Every once in a while, big games got to go there and not be retail.
Yeah, sure up the platform of the PS.
Yeah. Smokey90 says, so with the holiday shopping season ever steadily approaching us, and with Microsoft possibly dropping the price to counter the price drop of the PS3, which system do we think will sell more this holiday season? We touched on this slightly in the thing before.
I think it's got to be the PS3, but I mean, I think it can go either way. Yeah, I think by the time the holiday season, November, December rolls around, I mean, we're going to be dealing with parents, and we're going to be dealing with kids that really just want one thing or the other. I mean, who knows? But it's going to be competitive at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, so Microsoft's big game this holiday season, because as far as we know, if I offhand, Mass Effect is early next year sometime. So this holiday season is obviously
Lips.
Yeah, it's Lips. But ODST comes out in
September, I think, right?
September, October, right? Everybody already bought a Xbox for Halo that really wanted that. So those guys have already bought their systems. It might sell some, but really...
They might have to buy another one because their Xbox probably broke by now.
Exactly. And then Alan Wake is next year at some point.
Yep.
So,
Finally.
So everybody that was going to buy a system for Microsoft stuff probably already did. Whereas a lot of people were waiting out for the PS3 to drop in price in order to get, Uncharted and God of War when it comes out next year. So I think that this holiday season, the next 5 months or whatever, you're going to see the PS3 outsell 360. Into next year, I think that my guess is that the systems base become even, and that month over month you're going to see basically the same number sold of both of them, which is fine by me because now you've got that however many millions gap there is right now. That's going to stay constant as the sales for both of them increase. So
agreed.
I'm fine with that. Then that was it actually. The other piece of the mail was the last page, which was just a smiley face.
All right.
So there goes the end of reader mail. Greg, you have anything to add? You got all kinds of notes on your pages.
I do have stuff. I have a PSN hit of the week.
Ooh.
This one his name's Christian. On the IGN boards, you might know him as Snake's Sabbatical. His PSN ID is Supafly124. That is SUPAFLY124, no spaces.
PSN confirmed.
The reason he is the hit of the week is because he dropped us an email, and it was hot. I saw that pic on Ryan's Gamescom live blog of that guy holding up the Slim, and had deja vu with the twit pic of Greg holding up the Clean Xbox. So naturally, I whipped up this side-by-side comparison in Photoshop. Beyond! There you go. We'll put this on the blog. It is me posing with how I assume they'd present the Slim. It's pretty much on par. My Kleenex box is going vertical instead of horizontal. That's where I lost. I didn't think it through when I did it. But other than that, I do look just like the big man there. Kaz, all right.
Yeah.
So yeah, PSN hit confirmed. Supafly124.
Cool.
There you go.
All right.
I need to give a special shout out to a man named Justin. So many moons ago, episode. What was it? I don't know, the 40s or whenever the hell the Vampire Strike was created.
Yeah.
I said that I was going to, because I do iPhone app development, so I said I was going to create an iPhone app for the Vampire Strike, and then time got away from me, and I didn't have time to do it. Didn't think enough people to do it, so he picked up my slack. He did it.
Yeah.
And he has created a Vampire Strike app. Greg's got it on there now. There's the tapping. So he's going to update the front of the thing to where it's maybe animated or whatever. He says he's going to work on some fixes.
He's working on it.
Yeah. Now, the really cool part about the app right now is that there is... So the main part has a vampire hands or whatever.
Yeah.
But here, play one of these things.
I think it looks awesome.
His pants are hella tight.
Yeah, so what he's done is he's created basically a soundboard. You can scroll through a ton of quotes and play them right on the phone.
It's all from the first 10 episodes.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, she just seems like she's, like, a cool character. Like, she's, like, doesn't seem like they're milking the sex appeal too much.
Yeah.
So remember when Ryan first got here and he could not say like one?
So there's some really good stuff in this thing.
Goofball.
It is free, of course. It is called Vampire Strike Beyond.
Very cool.
It's on the App Store right now.
Here's one of the other favorite ones.
I saw Snake grab another man's ball.
So great. It's a great app. You should totally get it. Free.
Vampire Strike Beyond.
That's amazing.
So yeah, go get that.
Good work,
Thanks, Justin, for working on that thing. And please do rate it. Give it 5 stars. And let's see what else we got here.
Also rate us on iTunes. Give us 5 stars.
Rate us on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter, IGN.com. You can follow me on Twitter, Chris_Roper. You can find us all on Facebook.
Yeah.
You guys have been crazy with the Facebook friend requests, man. I've got like over 200, I think, since that episode of being on.
So
keep them coming.
Colin's on Facebook also. We're all on Facebook. Find us on there.
Find us. I will accept you one day.
There you go. I believe that brings us to the end of the show. Greg, do you want to introduce the song for the week?
I do. Remember, folks, that we asked you to start sending in songs because Ryan and I were sung out. We've done it. We've hit our max. Since then, Ryan's had a couple good picks. He had the Metal Gear Solid cover band. Then he had a really cool 8-bit song. That's all nice. It was getting away from what this was, the original core. Everyone remembers the first Podcast Beyond song. Take a real song, insert Beyond into it awkwardly, and sing it in an empty room. So picking up that slack is a nice girl named Amanda. Hey, Podcast Beyond crew. So this is my song submission since you guys are tired of singing. I love the show. I've been listening for a while, and keep up the good work. If I was 21, I'd go buy you guys a nice alcoholic beverage to show my appreciation of the show, but seeing as that I'm only 18, sadly I cannot do this for you. Anyway, all is well. I think she meant well, but all is well, Amanda. P.S. Yes, you can add one more female, or you can add one... Jesus. Yes, you can add one more to your count for female listeners, and I am straight. That's more of a Game Scoop reference, but we'll count it here all the same. Thank you, Amanda. Here's your song. Hit it.
Hey, what's up, Podcast Beyond crew? You guys said you wanted a song submission, so I decided to give you my version of Love Game by Lady Gaga. Are you ready? Let's have some fun. This podcast is sick. I want to take a ride on your Beyond stick. Don't think too much. Just bust that Greg Miller and Ryan comments. I want to take a ride on your Beyond stick. Let's play a PlayStation game. Play a PlayStation game. Do you want topic of the week or do you want trophy fame? Are you in the game? Go the PlayStation game. Let's play a PlayStation game. Play a PlayStation game. Do you want love or do you want trophy fame? Are you in the game? Yup. Go the PlayStation game. I'm on a mission. Bow, bow, bow. And it involves some heavy gameplay. You vindicated your hit of the week. I'm educated in headshot chess, and I want it bad, I love PlayStation, hold me and play me. Just wanna be on you for a minute. Baby, 3 seconds is enough for my controller too greedy. Let's have some fun. This podcast is sick. I want to take a ride on Beyond Stick. Don't think too much. Just bust that curse word and Sam Bishop. I want to take a ride on your Beyond Stick. Let's play a PlayStation game. Play a PlayStation game. Do you want love or do you want trophy fame? Are you in the game? Oh, the PlayStation game. Let's play a PlayStation game. Play a PlayStation game. Do you want love or do you want trophy game? Are you in the game? Beyond? Oh, the PlayStation game. That's all I got. You guys have an awesome podcast. Thanks.
Beyond!
Users lose all sense of reality and enter another world. Remember, do not underestimate the power of PlayStation.